I never expected one party, one game, one stupid spin of a bottle to destroy the quiet life I built for myself in college. Back then, I thought the hardest part of sharing a dorm room with a stranger was learning to live with someone else's habits. The mess, the noise, the late-night snacks, the shared space. I thought that was the worst that could happen. I was wrong. Because the first time I saw Aaron, my roommate, standing in the doorway of our tiny dorm room with that crooked smile and that easy confidence, I didn't know he would become the most important and the most painful part of my entire college experience. He wasn't supposed to change my life. He wasn't supposed to make me feel anything. And he definitely wasn't supposed to kiss me that night. It was a harmless game, a stupid dare. People cheering, music blasting, the circle spinning around us. And then that bottle stopped, pointing at him, pointing at me. Everyone laughed. He didn't. I should have walked away. I should have stopped him. But I didn't, and that moment, that kiss, lit a fuse inside both of us that neither one of us was prepared to face. What came after was messy, beautiful, terrifying, and in the end, tragic. Before we dive into this story, one about desire, confusion, fear, love, and the kind of heartbreak you never fully heal from, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because what you're about to hear will stay with you long after the final chapter. When I left home for college, I thought the hardest part would be sharing a room with a complete stranger. I'd grown up keeping to myself. Quiet kid, cautious kid, the kind who preferred comfort over chaos. So when my parents dropped me off at Briarwood University and I stepped into the tiny dorm room that would become my new life, my hands were shaking. Then he walked in. Aiden Parker, my new roommate. He was the kind of guy who didn't just enter a space. He took the air with him. Tall but not intimidating, athletic but not loud about it, with dark hair that never behaved and the kind of easy grin that felt too warm for a stranger. He wasn't what I expected. He wasn't what I was prepared for. He set his duffel bag on the bed across from mine and said, "So you're Noah?" "Yeah," I murmured. "That's me." "Well, looks like we're stuck with each other," he said, laughing softly as he held out his hand. I shook it, warm, confident. Friendly, too friendly. For the first week, everything felt normal, or as normal as two strangers learning each other's habits could be. Aiden was chaos. I was order. He played music too loud. I organized my books alphabetically. He left water bottles everywhere. I wiped down the counters twice a day. But somehow, the differences created this weird, unexpected balance. He'd flop onto his bed after class and talk about everything. Soccer practice, his annoying professor, the girl who liked him but couldn't take a hint. I would pretend to keep reading, but the truth? I was listening to every word. Because the more he spoke, the more I realized something terrifying. I liked this. I liked him. Too much. I tried to bury it. The little stares, the small smiles, the stupid way my chest tightened when he said my name. But feelings don't care about logic, and mine were quietly setting traps all over that tiny room. One Friday night, our floor was invited to a party 2 doors down. One of those chaotic, cramped dorm events where someone smuggles in cheap alcohol, someone else blasts music, and everyone pretends they're having the time of their lives. Aiden threw on a hoodie and asked, "You coming?" I hesitated. Crowded rooms. Loud people. Not my thing. But saying no meant staying alone while he wasn't. So I said, "Yeah, sure." When we walked in, the room was stuffed with bodies, laughter, and the sweet smell of bad decisions. A circle of students sat on the floor, bottles in the middle. Spin the bottle? Aiden laughed. "Dude, people actually do this in college?" A girl with pink braids smirked. "Only the brave." Aiden looked at me. "Come on, let's be brave." I should have said no. I should have walked away. But he smiled, and like an idiot, I followed him to the circle. The rules were simple. Spin once. Kiss who it lands on. Spin twice. Truth or dare. Spin 3 times. You take a shot. People were kissing and laughing, shaking off their nerves with each turn. I tried to relax. I tried to blend in. But sitting next to Aiden in that tight circle made the world feel too small. Half an hour in, someone shouted, "Aiden, your turn." He took the bottle, gave it a dramatic shake, and spun it. Everyone leaned forward. The bottle slowed, and slowed, and slowed, until it stopped, pointing directly at me. The circle erupted, laughter, cheers, whistles. Aiden's eyes widened. My heart stopped. "Oh, roommate kiss," someone yelled. Another voice shouted, "Do it, house rules." Aiden looked at me, not like a friend, not like a joke, but like a moment he didn't expect and didn't know how to process. He leaned closer. "We don't have to." "It's fine," I heard myself say, even though my pulse was pounding so loudly I was sure he could hear it. He moved closer, slowly, carefully, as if afraid I'd flinch. The laughter faded. The music blurred. The world shrunk to the two of us. His hand brushed my jaw, maybe on purpose, maybe not. And then, for a brief, impossible second, his lips touched mine. Soft, warm, real. My mind went white. Everything I'd tried to hide, everything I'd buried, everything I'd locked away, it all burst through me in one breath I couldn't release. He pulled back quickly, cheeks flushed, eyes wide. The circle screamed with laughter and applause. Someone threw a pillow. Someone shouted, "Damn, that looked kinda good." Aiden forced a laugh, shaking his head. "Just a game, guys." But when he looked at me, it wasn't a joke in his eyes. It wasn't nothing. It was confusion, fear, curiosity, something I didn't dare name. The game went on, but something between us had changed, something neither of us were ready to admit. Aiden kept stealing glances. I kept pretending I didn't notice, but we both knew the kiss wasn't the problem. The problem was what it awakened, because later that night, long after the party ended, long after everyone fell asleep, Aiden sat on his bed in the dark and whispered into the silence, "Noah, why didn't that feel wrong?" And I had no answer, because it didn't feel wrong for me either. It felt like the beginning of something beautiful that would end up breaking us both. The next morning should have felt normal. It should have been one of those slow, ordinary college mornings where the sun leaks through the blinds. Someone's alarm won't stop ringing, and the dorm hallway echoes with people complaining about exams and hangovers. But nothing felt normal. When I opened my eyes, the first thing I noticed was that Eli wasn't in his bed. His sheets were messy, his pillow on the floor, his hoodie tossed over the chair, like he'd rushed out or deliberately escaped. My lips still tingled where he kissed me. I sat up slowly, trying to replay the moment in my head, but everything was a blur of adrenaline and shock. The way the bottle stopped, the way he looked at me, scared and excited at the same time, the way the room went quiet, everyone watching, waiting, the way his hand cupped my jaw so gently that I almost forgot people were around us. And then the kiss. A kiss he wasn't supposed to give. A kiss I wasn't supposed to want. A kiss neither of us could pretend didn't happen. I rubbed my face, trying to calm myself, but my entire body was buzzing. I didn't know if he regretted it, if he panicked, if he hated himself for it. I didn't know if he hated me. Before I could spiral deeper, the door clicked. Eli walked in. He froze when he saw me awake. "Oh," he said softly, "you're up." His voice was different, careful, like he was avoiding stepping on something fragile. "Yeah." I whispered, "Where were you?" He shrugged, went for a run. Eli didn't run. Ever. Not even from responsibility. Not even from his ex-girlfriend when they fought. The guy barely ran to catch the bus. So this run, it meant something. I stood. "Can we talk about last night?" Eli's jaw tightened. There's nothing to talk about. Something in my chest cracked at the casual dismissal. "Eli, you kissed me." He didn't look at me. "It was just a game, Noah." It didn't feel like a game. Doesn't matter what it felt like. His tone wasn't angry. It was scared. Terrified. It was the tone of someone trying to outrun himself. I took a step closer. "Did you mean it?" The question slipped out before I could stop it. Eli flinched. "No. Liar." I knew that look. I shared a room with him. I knew when he lied about doing his homework, about calling his mom, about being fine. This lie tasted different. "Lie." I said gently. I was there too. That's when he snapped. I said it didn't mean anything. The words hit harder than they should have, slicing through me like a cold blade. He pressed his hands against his face and exhaled sharply. The silence between us felt thick like fog. Finally, he dropped his hands and whispered, I wasn't supposed to do that. Why not? Because I'm not. He stopped. Not what? I asked. I'm not like that, he whispered. I'm not, you know. I'm not into guys. He said it like he was trying to convince himself. Not me. Okay, I said quietly. Then why kiss me? He looked like he was fighting himself. His eyes turned glassy for a second before he blinked the emotion away. I don't know, he said. I freaked out. The bottle stopped on you and everyone was watching and I don't know. I messed up. I nodded slowly, but my heart was screaming. You didn't look freaked out, I said. You looked. Don't. He cut in. Just don't. I could see the panic growing in his chest. This wasn't about me. This was about something he didn't have the language to understand. Something he didn't want to face. He walked to his desk and grabbed his notebook, shoving it into his backpack like he needed something to do with his hands. We're late for class, he muttered. We have time, I whispered. No, I need to go. Eli. He walked out. I didn't follow him. I didn't have the courage. I stayed in the room, breathing through the ache in my chest. By the time I made it to my first class, everyone from last night's party seemed to know something. The looks weren't subtle. Whispers followed me down the hallway, like shadows. That's the guy. The one Eli kissed. Do you think he's gay? I thought Eli had a girlfriend. Maybe he was dared. Dared. God. As if that kiss was some prank played on me. A joke. Humiliation disguised as intimacy. But the worst part? I didn't know what hurt more. The possibility that Eli regretted it. Or the possibility that he didn't, but was too scared to admit it. Later that night, I returned to our dorm hoping he'd be asleep. But he wasn't. He was sitting on the floor beside his bed, back pressed to the wall, staring at the same spot on the carpet like it held all the answers he was missing. He didn't look up when I walked in. Lie. I said quietly, we can't pretend nothing happened. He spoke without lifting his head. Noah, please don't do this. I'm not doing anything. I'm just asking. He stood abruptly. Stop asking. Stop being nice. Stop making this harder. My throat tightened. Harder for who? For both of us. He ran a hand through his hair, pacing the room like he was trying to escape his own skin. I'm not supposed to feel anything for you, he whispered. I felt the words in my bones. The pain, the confusion, the awful wish that things were simpler. I'm not asking you to feel anything, I said softly. I just want the truth. He looked at me then, really looked, and for the first time, I saw it clearly. He did feel something. Something he didn't have a name for. Something he wished he could kill. Something he wished he could give in to. But fear always wins the first battle. Eli's voice cracked as he said, I don't know what last night meant, okay? I don't know what's happening to me. I don't know how to deal with this. He took a step toward me, then stopped, like an invisible line was drawn between us. And then, with a voice barely above a breath, Noah, I'm scared of what I felt when I kissed you. The air left my lungs. Before I could speak, before I could reach him, before I could say the one thing that might have saved us, he whispered, and I don't want to feel it again. He turned off the light and climbed into bed, leaving me standing in the dark, trying to understand how the softest moment of my life became the beginning of something that was destined to break us both. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in my narrow dorm bed staring at the ceiling, replaying the kiss 1,000 times. The way Mason's breath hitched right before our lips touched, the way his hand trembled on my jaw, the way he pulled back like he'd broken some sacred rule neither of us agreed out loud. Every time I closed my eyes, I felt it again. Every time I opened them, I remembered the look on his face afterward, shock, confusion, and something he tried way too hard to hide. By morning, exhaustion hit me like a train. The dorm was quiet when I got up. Mason's bed was already empty. blanket folded, pillow tossed aside like he'd left in a hurry. Maybe he didn't want to face me. Maybe he couldn't. Maybe he pretended last night didn't happen, and now he was doing the same with me. I tried to shake off the thought, but it clung to me like cold air. When I walked into the cafeteria for breakfast, I spotted him immediately. Mason, sitting alone, stirring cereal without eating it, looking like someone whose brain was running faster than the rest of him could handle. I took a deep breath and approached his table. He didn't look up until I sat down. "Oh, hey," he said, voice rough from sleep or from something else. "Morning," I said softly. He nodded once but didn't meet my eyes. I forced a small smile. "You left early?" "Yeah," he muttered. "Had class stuff. It's a Saturday." He winced just slightly, and I wasn't sure if he realized he did it. "Right. I just needed air. There was the wall. Thin, but tall enough to make my chest ache." I didn't want to push him, but pretending nothing happened felt worse than dealing with it. "Mason about last night." His spoon froze mid-circle. "We were drunk," he said quickly. "Too quickly. Things get messy. No big deal." That didn't feel drunk to me. He swallowed hard, eyes fixed on his cereal. "Well, it was—" I leaned forward slightly. "Do you really want to pretend it meant nothing?" He finally looked at me. Not angry, not annoyed, just scared. Truly scared. "I don't know what it meant," he whispered. "Isn't that enough?" It wasn't, but I nodded anyway, because pushing him now wouldn't bring him closer. It would only make him run faster. The silence between us stretched through the weekend. Not total silence, but the uncomfortable kind where both of you speak only when necessary. We switched from talking about everything to talking about nothing. Weather, classes, homework, the kind of conversation strangers have. By Sunday night, the tension became unbearable. I found Mason sitting at his desk, staring at his open laptop, but clearly not doing anything. "Can we talk?" I asked. He closed the laptop slowly, like every movement pained him. "About what?" "You know what?" He exhaled sharply. "Why can't you just drop it?" "Because you're hurting," I said. "And so am I." He froze. I continued gently. "You kissed me. I'm allowed to feel something about that." He rubbed his hands over his face. "I didn't mean to." "You did," I said softly. "Maybe not planned. Maybe not fully sober. But you meant it in the moment." His shoulders shook slightly. A crack in the armor. "Mason, I just need to understand what you're feeling." "That's the problem," he said, voice breaking. "I don't understand it either." He stood abruptly and walked to the window, like he needed distance to breathe. "I'm not gay," he whispered. "I didn't say you were." "But I kissed you," he said, turning around. "What does that make me?" "Human." He shook his head violently. No, you don't get it." "Then help me get it." He stared at me like he was trying to hold back a storm. Finally, he spoke. "When I kissed you, something felt right, and that scares the hell out of me." I felt something inside me collapse and bloom at the same time. "You don't have to figure out today," I said gently. "I don't know if I ever can," he whispered. I took a step toward him, slow, careful. But he stepped back like my closeness was a flame he wasn't ready to touch. "I'm sorry," he said. "I don't know how to be what you want." "I never asked you to be anything," I said. "I just want honesty." He hugged his arms around himself, as if he were freezing. "For the first time in my life," he said softly, "I looked at someone and felt something I can't explain." My heart skipped painfully. "Mason," his voice cracked as he continued, "and instead of wanting it, I'm terrified of it." He leaned his back against the wall, sliding down until he sat on the floor, head in his hands. I knelt beside him. "You're allowed to feel confused," I said. He shook his head. "Not where I come from." He didn't need to explain. I'd heard the stories, his dad, the pressure, the expectations, the unspoken rules about who he was supposed to be. Mason lived inside a cage built long before he was born. "Tell me what you need," I whispered. He looked up at me with red eyes. "I need time," he said, "and space. But I don't want to lose you." "You won't." But even as I said it, I felt a tremor of doubt. He took a shaky breath. Can we just stay like this? For now. Like what? Friends, he whispered. But ones who know the truth, even if we don't talk about it. My chest ached, because that wasn't what I wanted, but it was all he could give. Okay, I said. He exhaled in relief, or maybe heartbreak. Maybe both. As I stood, he reached out and grabbed my wrist, a soft, trembling touch. One day, he said quietly, I'll understand what I felt. I just can't yet. And something in his voice made me realize this wasn't the beginning of a love story. It was the beginning of a slow, inevitable heartbreak. And the worst part, I could see it coming and still couldn't walk away. I spent the next 2 days pretending everything was normal. Classes, cafeteria, library, gym. The routine moved on autopilot, like my body refused to admit something inside me had already cracked. And though I tried to ignore it, my eyes always drifted back to the dorm door, listening for his footsteps. Cole hadn't spoken to me since the night of the bottle game. Not a text, not a knock, not even a look. We slept in the same room, just a few feet apart, but he carried his silence like a shield. Every night, I watched him climb into his bed facing the wall, headphones on, shutting himself into a world where I didn't exist. The kiss, that stupid, unexpected, perfect kiss, had broken something between us. Or maybe it had revealed something we weren't ready to face. By Friday night, the silence was unbearable. I sat at my desk, pretending to work on a paper, tapping my pen against the wood until the sound grated against my nerves. Cole walked in, dropped his gym bag, and went straight to the sink to wash his face. He hadn't spoken one word to me all day. I tried again. Cole. He froze, fingers tightening around the faucet. He didn't look at me. Can we talk? His shoulders rose with a deep breath. Then he turned off the water, dried his face, and leaned against the counter. His expression was unreadable, a mix of exhaustion and hesitation, and something that looked a lot like fear. What do you want me to say? He asked quietly. That night. Don't, he said too quickly. Please. I stood slowly. Cole, we can't pretend it didn't happen. We have to, he said. It was just a game. It didn't feel like a game. That made him finally look at me. Really look. His eyes flashed in a way that made my chest tighten. Evan, he said, voice low, you don't understand what that kiss did. Yes, I do. I whispered. No, he said sharply. You don't. The room felt too small, too hot, too full of everything left unsaid. I took a step toward him, then explained it to me. He shook his head and looked away. I can't. You can't, I insisted. Just tell me what you're feeling. He let out a long, shaky breath and sank onto his bed. I sat on mine across from him, waiting, heart pounding. After a long silence, he finally spoke. My whole life, he said slowly, people told me who I'm supposed to be. Captain of the soccer team. Good student. Straight. Confident. The guy everyone trusts. The guy who has everything figured out. He looked at the floor, and I played the part. I swallowed hard. When the bottle landed on you, he continued, I thought it was funny, awkward, whatever. But when you leaned in, he stopped, breath catching. And when I kissed you back, I felt something I shouldn't have felt. The words hit me like a punch. And it freaked me out, he said. I'm not supposed to feel that way about you, or about any guy. Who says? I asked softly. My family, my friends, my whole damn life. His voice cracked. You don't know what they'd do if they even suspected. I moved from my bed to sit on the floor near his feet. You don't have to be afraid of them with me. He exhaled sharply. But I am afraid. That's the problem. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees, fingers digging into his hair. That kiss didn't just confuse me, he whispered. It ruined everything I thought I knew about myself. And every time I look at you, it scares me even more. My heart ached, not because he was hurting, but because he was hurting alone. Cole, I said gently, you can talk to me. No, he interrupted, looking up with eyes full of panic. You're the last person I can talk to about this. The words sliced through me. He saw the reaction. Regret flashed across his face. Evan, I didn't mean. It's okay, I lied. I get it. No, you don't. He stood abruptly, pacing the room. You don't get what it's like to feel something you're not allowed to feel. You don't get what it's like to want someone you're not supposed to want. I do, I said quietly. I want you. He stopped dead in his tracks. The silence that followed was suffocating. Heavy. Dangerous. Don't say that, he whispered. It's the truth. He backed up a step. Evan, you're making this harder. Why do you think I'm saying it? I asked. I'm trying to make it easier. He shook his head. There's no easy for this. Then something broke in him. Something small, but enough. He sat down beside me on the floor, close enough that our shoulders touched. We stayed like that for a moment, breathing the same tight air. I wish things were different, he said softly. I wish I didn't feel anything. I wish I could just forget that night. I was quiet for a long time. Then I asked a question I already knew the answer to. Do you really want to forget it? His eyes closed slowly. No, he whispered. I don't. I felt tears burn the back of my throat. He leaned his head back against the wall. You're the first person who made me feel safe, he said. And the first person who made me feel like my whole world was cracking at the same time. I wanted to reach for him, to hold his hand, to pull him close. But before I could, he stood. This has to stop, he said quietly. Whatever is happening between us, we can't let it go further. Why? Because I'm not strong enough to face what comes after. He picked up his backpack, slung it over his shoulder, and walked to the door. Cole, don't. He paused with his hand on the doorknob. I care about you, he whispered. More than I should. My breath shook. But caring about you is going to ruin me. And then he opened the door and left. No goodbye. No explanation. Just silence. The kind of silence that fills a room long after the person causing it is gone. That night, I lay in my bed listening to his empty half of the room and realized something terrifying. You can love someone with everything you have and still lose them to a fear stronger than any feeling you share. I didn't sleep the night before. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the look on Aiden's face after he pulled away from the kiss. The way he stared at his hands, like he didn't know who he was anymore. The way his breath shook. The way mine did too. It was the kind of moment you don't recover from easily. The kind that stays in a room like a ghost, watching you, waiting for what you'll do next. By the time morning came, I felt hollow, exhausted, terrified, hopeful, all at once. When I walked back into our dorm room after showering in the hall, Aiden was already awake, sitting on his bed, elbows on his knees, head in his hands. He didn't look up when I entered. I closed the door quietly. Morning. He didn't answer. I hesitated, then sat on my bed across from him. Aiden, we need to talk. He let out a quiet laugh, the tired kind, the broken kind. Yeah, no kidding. I waited. He didn't look at me, but he finally spoke. I don't know what's happening to me, he said, voice small. I've always known who I was, or I thought I did. The silence after that sentence felt like a cliff. I swallowed. Aiden, what happened last night was a mistake. He flinched. Don't say that. It wasn't. It was, he said firmly, finally looking up at me. His eyes were red, not from crying, but from holding back. I don't do things like that. I don't kiss guys. I felt the words like a punch. But you kiss me, I said softly. That's the problem, he whispered. I looked at him for a long moment, searching for something in his expression. Confusion, fear, anything that made this easier to understand. And I found something else instead. Pain. Real pain. Aiden, I said gently, I'm not asking you to define anything right now, but don't pretend you didn't feel something. He stood abruptly, running a hand through his hair. Why are you doing this? Why can't we just forget it? It was a stupid game. You kissed me before the bottle even stopped spinning, I said. He stopped moving. He didn't turn around, but I saw it, the tension in his shoulders, the truth tightening everything inside him. He exhaled shakily. I panicked. No, I whispered, standing now too. You wanted to. He finally looked at me, and for 1 second I saw it, the truth he was terrified of, the truth he would never say out loud. He broke eye contact first. I can't be this person, he said. Who? The person who, his voice cracked, the person who wants you. I felt my chest tighten painfully. Aiden. He stepped back like my voice burned him. Stop, please. I can't think when you talk like that. I took a breath, trying to steady myself, trying not to fall apart. Then let me say one thing, I whispered. I'm not ashamed of what happened, and you don't have to be either. His jaw clenched. But I am. The room went silent, a cold, sharp silence that filled every corner between us. He rubbed his face, pacing like he was trapped inside his own skin. My dad, my family, my friends, they would never understand this. They'd never accept this. Aiden, no one else is in this room right now except us. That's the problem, he repeated, voice rising. When I'm alone with you, I forget who I'm supposed to be. His words struck me harder than I expected. He wasn't angry at me. He was angry at himself, at how he felt, at what it meant. I walked closer, slowly, giving him space to pull away. He didn't. Aiden, I said softly, look at me. It took him a moment, but when he finally lifted his head, something inside me broke. His eyes weren't confused. They were desperate. You're not alone, I said. I am, he replied, because I can't be what you want, and I can't be what I want either. My breath caught. What do you want? He didn't answer. He didn't need to. The silence told me everything. He wanted me, and he hated himself for it. Without thinking, I moved closer, close enough to feel his breath tremble, close enough that if either of us leaned forward even an inch, everything would change again. I'm right here, I whispered. You don't have to run from this. But he stepped back, not violently, not angrily, just heartbreakingly. I can't, he said. If I let myself want this, I won't survive it. Aiden. He shook his head, eyes filling with a kind of grief that made my stomach twist. You deserve someone who isn't drowning. I felt tears burn behind my eyes. I don't care. I want you. He shut his eyes tightly, breathing in like the sentence hurt him. When he opened them, the decision was already made. This has to stop, he whispered. For both of us. It felt like the floor dropped out from under me. Aiden, please. He shook his head. No more games. No more almosts. No more moments we pretend aren't real. His voice broke. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. And then he walked past me, opened the dorm door, paused for only a second, just enough for me to pray he would turn around. He didn't. The door clicked shut behind him, and I stood in the middle of our room, shaking, staring at the empty space where he'd been, knowing I had just lost him, not because he didn't feel something, but because he felt too much, and he couldn't live with it. I didn't sleep the night before. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw him. Noah sitting on the edge of his bed, shoulders folded in, voice shaking as he told me he couldn't handle whatever he was feeling. and I saw myself too afraid to reach out, too afraid to say what had been living inside my chest since the night of the bottle game. By morning, the dorm room felt colder, emptier. Noah's bed was unmade, blankets twisted, pillow on the floor, like he'd fought something heavy in his sleep. I stared at it for a long time, wondering if I had a right to worry about him the way I did, wondering if I had already ruined him more than I realized. When he finally walked in, his hair was wet from the shower, hoodie zipped high, eyes red around the edges. He didn't look at me when he closed the door behind him. "Noah," I said carefully. He nodded slightly, still staring at the floor. "I know. We need to talk." He dropped his backpack and sat at his desk, facing away from me. That hurt more than anything. "I didn't mean to freak out yesterday," he said. "I'm just dealing with stuff." "Stuff like what?" I asked, try not to sound desperate. He let out a weak laugh. "Please don't make me say it." I walked closer, slowly, like approaching something fragile. "Noah, you kissed me. Twice. And then you kissed me again last night. I think we need to talk about that." His shoulders tensed. "I know." Silence stretched between us. Long, sharp, unforgiving. Finally, Noah spoke again. "I'm not supposed to feel this way." I swallowed. "Why not?" He turned his head just enough for me to see the tears building in his eyes. "Because I don't want to be like this," he whispered. "I'm not supposed to be. I've had girlfriends my whole life. I was raised to believe this is wrong." My chest tightened painfully. "It's not wrong, Noah." "To you," he said. "But to my family, to everything I was taught." He shook his head. "You don't get how deep this goes." I stepped closer anyway. "Then explain it to me. Let me help." He finally looked up at me. Really looked, and the pain in his expression nearly tore me apart. "You can't fix this," he said quietly. "You can't fix me." I sat on the edge of my bed. "I don't think you're broken." He wiped his face with his sleeve. "You don't understand. I've spent my whole life hearing what a real man is supposed to be, and what I did with you, what I keep wanting to do with you, it destroys all of that." My heart cracked, not because he didn't want me, but because he did. "Noah," I said slowly, "the bottle game was an accident. You leaned in first." He shut his eyes. "I know. And you kissed me again later." His voice cracked. "I know. And last night you—" "I know," he shouted suddenly, then flinched as if the sound scared him too. He pressed his palms to his eyes and whispered, "I can't keep doing this." The air left my lungs. "Doing what?" "Wanting you," he whispered. "It's ruining me." The words hit harder than anything he'd ever said. I walked closer, slowly. "Does it ruin you because you're scared?" I hesitated. "Or because you love me?" The moment I said it, the room went dead silent. Noah's breath faltered, and something in his face shattered. He stood up so fast his chair nearly toppled. "Don't say that. Please don't." "Why?" I asked, voice trembling. "Because if you say it, I'll break." I stared at him, heart pounding. "Noah, look at me." He wouldn't. He kept shaking his head, backing away like the truth was a wall pushing him into a corner. "You're the only person I've ever felt safe with," he said, voice barely holding together. "The only one who sees me. The only one who makes me feel like I can breathe. My throat, close up, then stay. Choose me." He squeezed his eyes shut. "I want to. God, I want to. But I can't." "You can," I insisted, stepping closer. "No," he whispered, stepping back. "I'll lose everything." "You won't lose me." "That's not enough." The words stabbed deeper than anything else he said. I froze. He ran a hand through his hair, pacing now, every step trembling. "I talked to my parents last night," he finally said, "about feelings, and they told me that love is a choice. They said temptation happens, but giving it means disappointing God and them." My blood ran cold. He continued, voice falling apart. "They said if I ever let myself go down the wrong path, I'd lose their support. My home, my college funding, everything." He looked at me then, and there was nothing but devastation in his eyes. "I can't lose them," he whispered. "So I have to lose you." My knees almost gave out. "No," I breathed. "I'm sorry." His voice cracked completely. "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to drag you into this. I didn't mean to hurt you. I didn't mean to kiss you. I wish I could take it back." He was crying now, not soft tears, the quiet, violent kind that came from fighting something he could never win against. I stepped forward on instinct, wanting to hold him, but he stepped back. "Don't," he begged. "If you touch me, I won't be able to walk away." And he had to, not because he didn't want me, but because the world he came from wouldn't let him choose me. He took one last look at me, the kind of look someone gives the one thing they'll regret forever, then grabbed his backpack. "Noah," I whispered, voice breaking, "please." He shook his head, tears falling. "I wish we met in another life." Then he walked out, and that was it. The door clicked shut, and the room stayed quiet for a very long time.